architectural hardware and commercial doors to general contractors and end users. And what that means is, anytime you go into an office space and you see those, those push bars to get out of a building, or you see the different locks and all the hinges and basically every component that goes into a door opening, that's what we provide. It's one of those things that you never really pay any attention to. But if you look at a door in any type of office building or anything, you'll see there's probably about 15 to 16 different pieces of equipment on there. So it can get pretty complicated as far as what you're doing. And so what we do is not only do we provide the goods, but we also take a look at customers' plans and help interpret it and provide the right solutions they have. Because a lot of times what the architect will put down as what they want may not be the right fit. So part of what we do also is consult by looking at what the architect has put together and try to create a much more simpler and effective approach to their door openings. So we do everything from sales to, we also service, we install, but primarily we're a distributor that sells these to the contractors and they install them themselves, but we do all that stuff. Another thing too that we're doing more and more of are automatic door operators. Those are the things where you walk up to a door, whether you wave your hand in front of a plate, touch an activation plate, or there's a motion sensor and the door opens automatically. We service, we install, sell, and provide those options as well. The company's been around 30 years. We've got a great staff of technicians, and I think that sets us apart from a lot of people that are just straight distributors. So it gives us an extra level of service, as well as an ability to react quickly to things. Because a lot of times when people are getting a certain type of door opening, something off the shelf isn't going to work, and the doors or the frames or what have you need to be modified. I have staff in place to do those things. A lot of other companies don't do that. And so even though we're a relatively small company, we work with a lot of very big names in construction and end users, companies like SJP Properties, large contractors. And so you'll see our doors in major pharmaceutical companies all across the New Jersey and Pennsylvania. High-end office buildings, as well as, bus depots, everything else. So we really run the full gambit. So that's what we do. Company's been around 30 years. I bought the company in 2018, and it's going well. I mean, we're surviving during COVID. Certainly, it's taken a little bit of hit with some of the shutdowns, but I think we're going to be okay. And I believe we can play a role in helping these office buildings and these companies reopen once that comes about.
And that's specifically some of the questions I want to talk to you about. Now, obviously, when they're first putting it together, or when you're refabbing and doing a build out in an office, an architect and a contractor is involved. But if I was to have an office and I really just wanted to make it so that I could either track when people went into certain areas or did certain aspects of that, would I need a contractor, or could I come straight to you if my only concern is going in and swapping out the hardware on the doors and aspects to get into those areas?
No, you could come directly to us. We can help design that. So if you're doing things where you need to have a count of people, I'd have to work with an access control company, but we would be able to provide all the hardware that provides the functionality that an access control company doesn't do. So that would tend to be a two-team job. But yeah, that's without question. So we'd be able to come in, do a full evaluation, make the right suggestions, and then carry it through and do the installation and everything.
Right. So if I was to come in and say, hey, as my first step, and again, whether it's a school, I know my wife's a nurse at a school, and they're looking at some of those aspects and things. So you would be able to come in and say, hey, here's what we can do to make some of this stuff non-touch. Here's what we can do. And we need to bring in another team, but you could actually be that first point of contact to go in and coordinate everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. What we would do is come in, depending what their needs are, and try and come up with a plan. We'd be able to look at some of their heavier use openings, and really take a look at the traffic flow inside the office, inside the space, and see where we can eliminate touch spaces, implement some automatic doors, but also if you're looking to track people and see how many people are, who has access to a certain area and limit access, or we could set things up like that as well. There's a ton of different ways to attack that problem. We could certainly do that for you.
Yeah, because I know contact tracing is going to be huge as things reopen, and I think you're in a unique position to be someone who is at the heart of it and can really give hard data on that. So I would say you're well positioned as companies start to reopen these COVID situations. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we are. It's really a matter. There's been so many changes, right? At the very beginning, one of the big things that everybody was afraid of was touching things, right? I don't want to touch that. I don't want to touch this, and then we started to learn more that it doesn't transfer that much through surfaces. I mean, this particular COVID, but other things do. And so, even though limiting touch spaces may not help with COVID, people have become much more aware of transferability of different types of bacteria. So there's things like antimicrobial coatings on pieces of hardware, so that bacteria can't live on a space; it gets killed immediately. There's things like hands-free hardware, where you could, instead of using your hand, you can use your forearm to open a door, or even your foot, as well as automatic door operators. So there's a number of ways you could do to help keep people safe. And one of the things too that you're gonna probably see is we had that whole big push to go to open space type offices, where you had sort of like a big bullpen set up where everybody was set. There was no more walls, no more doors. Well, I think attitudes are going to change a little bit about that. People are going to want to have maybe their own little micro environments inside their office space. Yeah, you got it, Paul. You want a little barrier. I mean, you're even seeing it now. I was talking to somebody who runs a school, and they're starting to put up plexiglass around individual desks. And so that idea of having a big open space is probably going to be going out of style, and they're going to need more walls, more doors, and better filtration systems. And so you're probably going to see that over time. And so yeah, I think we're positioned well. Anytime there's going to be a change, you're going to see that. And also, one thing too you're going to see is that with all the work from home, that a lot of companies are going to say, like, well, maybe I don't need as much office space. And so you're going to see some consolidation and reconfiguration of, so if I owned a 40-story office building and I had a bunch of tenants that are starting to change their way of thinking, well, I'm going to have to change the layout of my floors. And so there's going to be a lot of things that are going to need to change from a layout standpoint in offices and schools and things like that. And yeah, we could certainly help with that. Absolutely.
And as a teammate, so I think a couple areas I could probably best help you with is if I refer you off when I'm talking to commercial realtors, when I'm talking to property managers, when I'm talking obviously people in the construction field. Where else could I refer you to?
Well, I mean, those are basically the big hitters. Large commercial construction companies, people that are like school administrators, people that are run facilities for office buildings, or owners of office buildings, are certainly the biggest areas, I would say. If people though, anybody in the related field. So if you know somebody who's an architect, that's somebody that's always a good referral point, because they work with customers on these jobs, whether it's new construction or it's rehabilitation of an office space. So basically people that are around the construction space or ownership space are key folks for us.
Excellent. I'll open it up. Does anyone have any specific questions for Jonas at this point?
Yeah, I think Dennis's real question was, he wants to not only track people, he wants the facial recognition. Walk by their door, he knows.
Yeah, it's what we do is we provide it, like basically like the facial recognition and the different types of a lot of access control. We go hand in hand with that. So like it's sort of like, the way I look at it is like, you have those systems all run sort of like out, they connect to a door opening, and we provide everything that's within that door opening spec. and then we connect to that access control. That's why we work with a lot of access control companies. So if you know anybody that runs a security company that does stuff like that, that's definitely somebody we partner with quite a bit. We definitely help out because we have that we have that expertise of sort of how to use their hardware and their software to manipulate the use of the door.
Yeah, it seems like they're like the remote control, but you're still what they need to control.
Yeah, we're the TV.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're the TV.
Or you're the hardware and they're the software.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's where, and getting into it, the reason I bring it up, I know with Liberty Mutual, they're going nuts trying to figure out exactly when we bring everyone in, how we bring everything in. I mean, obviously they're very concerned about their employees and all. So with contact tracing and all, when the offices do open, they're going to know when someone does come test positive. Okay, who was everyone that was there? And how can we validate who was there, when they were there, what was going on? So
yeah, so to that end, like we work with some utility companies, and so we help secure some of the critical infrastructure. And what they want to be able to do is have an audit record of who comes in and out of the different microwave houses. So when you drive down the road, you see like where all the wires go, and all the power lines go, and you see all those big boxes there in like the field. Well, they need to track who's able to go in and out of there. And so we are a part of that solution there. And so we work with an access control company again. So every time that somebody goes in and tries to access one of these buildings, there's a digital record of who was the last person to go in there. And so like if you're leaving, so that's where you have to create like a request to exit. Electrically, locks it electrically unlocked because you put your credentials, whether it's a fob or it's a key code. A lot of times we see now it's mostly a fob, like a little thing you use for your car. You just put it next to a lock and it opens. So yeah, that's a big thing. And so I guess using it for contact tracing is certainly going to be one area of it. This in this aspect for security, say, hey, Steve Jones walked in here at 11:15 and the power went out at 11:16 and he was the last person in there. So yeah, did Steve do it? We don't know.
And he walked out with wire cutters. Who knows? Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Believe it or not, people go and try to break into those big giant power areas, try to steal the wires.
Yeah.
And they died doing it, actually.
Not too smart.
No, yeah, you don't want to go to the power source there. They found a couple of fried guys, which is awful. It's like, gee whiz.
The Darwin Awards.
Yeah, you're kind of asking for it there, but I'm sure they're not laughing about anybody's fortune. But yeah, it's a pretty crappy way to go. But yeah, we definitely can help track, be a part of that whole solution. We're a key component of that.
Yeah, because it isn't even security at this point for Liberty. It's all about knowing as fast as possible who's been there, so they can notify everyone and cut off everyone else from them continuing to spread it throughout the company. So
yeah, without question. I mean, that's going to be it's going to be a big thing. I mean, until we come out with a widespread vaccine that people trust and will use. Who knows how long we're going to have to be dealing with this stuff.
Well, excellent. Well, we'll be putting on the site this post and talking about hey, when you're going to try to COVID your office, Jonas is the guy to talk to. He's the first point of contact, and he can take it from there as far as getting you in touch with the right people. So,
thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Question,
so,
quick question for Jonas.
Yeah, Paul, go ahead.
So a connection, just an introduction with security companies is good for you?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to send you a quick message to you directly here and see if that needs. Check the chat.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Paul.